There it is. All right, so the first question on today. So today's topic is jobs. So we're going to be talking all about jobs. The questions are not necessarily like the exact topic, but they are going to be like a guideline. They're going to guide us through the conversation. So, you know, if we start talking about warrior because, you know, someone said that's the most viable, then warrior could be the topic. The most viable can be the topic. Anything could be the topic of conversation in that situation. But the goal, like I said, is to use these questions as guidelines. All right, so let's hop right into it. We'll go one by one here. So, most viable job. This person said warrior. Why? Because it's classic and almost everyone likes or at least liked at least it. Likes or at least liked it, I think is what they were trying to say. There we go. Oh, wait. My screen is not updating. Give me 1 second. Let me replug. Maybe not. Is it in? Oh, now it figures as soon as I go to change the screen there. There we go. All right, yeah. So warrior. Because it's classic and everyone likes it or has liked it is the reason. Continue on. Most viable class, ninja. Double jump helps a lot. That's very good. So we have one for ninja, one for warrior. Let's see what else we got. Dragoon. That's our first Dragoon. Here we go. This one's a little longer. The mobility is useful in so many situations. Offense, defense, scouting, and just getting around, period. That's very strong argument for Dragoon. Because Dragoon is a class, and I said this when it came out, that, you know, it is a melee class, but it's not necessarily the melee carry class. It's about getting in close and doing as much utility damage or just making as much of a commotion or being the target or the tank, if you will. And it's nice that they're making these quality of life adjustments so now that it can actually stand up in the melee. And it makes it so that Dragoon is really shining at what I think it is. And right here it says it. Mobility, it has offense, it has defense, it has scouting, and it has a bunch of utility. I think Dragoon is in a really good place now that the quality of life adjustments are coming in. All right, so the next one, we got another vote for warrior. Why? Because if you suck with guns and the distance rush in to stab can be spammed over and over as long as you don't finish the combo. Now I'm gonna paraphrase this answer a little bit on my own because I think what they're trying to say I'm gonna say it in more of a nicer way, is that the skill cap for warrior is lower than the other classes. And I mean that as in, you know, it can play guns, it can play materia, it can play melee for sure. So it's well-rounded in that sense. It has good defense, it has good offense, and it is a very straightforward class. It's use your guns and materia to get in close and use your sword. So I understand what this person's trying to say, and it's saying that if you are not the kind of person that is trying to be the best skill-wise, warrior might be a nice place for you to land because it is all around and it is really strong in the melee. All right, so the next one. We have most viable class, monk. Let's see why. Here we go. This is a nice long one. Strong in everything and high survivability. Melee isn't as aggressive as warrior, but when in range, it's as good, if not better. Inner strength is broken. Other traits like chakra unleashed and general HP regen are useful even in gunfights in sniper battles. So its kit allows either aggressive or defensive playstyles, and you're still benefiting from the style's traits, abilities, skills, no matter how you play. This is a very well worded answer, and it touches on a lot of the things that make Monk strong right now. And I believe that some of these things combined with the current state of the Redfist is what's making it overplayed. I like to say, but other people like to say overpowered. Um, and we'll get more into that later on. But I think a lot of this is because Monk really is a well-rounded class on its own, and it fits into that same category I was just saying with Warrior, where you can play with guns, you can play with materia, and you can play when you get in close. So all three playstyles are supported by its kit, but again, you have the constant healing, which makes it survivability a little bit easier. It allows more room for mistakes. Because if you get hit, you're going to regen a little bit and so on like that. You get in close, you start punching, you're going to regen and so on like that. So Monk is a very well-rounded class, and it is a very strong class right now. We got another Warrior. They are viable, but Warrior is pretty easy to pick up. Auto lock, not needing to worry about gravity or bird kicks as much when on foot, and relying on melee instead of aim. Other classes require competent accuracy, and that's something we just touched on a little bit. We'll touch on it a little bit more when we get into the other classes as well, where there are other classes where if you don't hit your shots or you don't hit your materia, you're in trouble. Whereas, you know, like I just said, Monk and Warrior, where you miss those shots, you still have a chance because you got melee if you're in close. So another one for Warrior there. For anybody joining us now, if anybody at any point wants to do a call-in, and by that I just mean hop in Discord and talk about these topics with me, just redeem the channel points. I will work out a chance for you to hop in. It's going to be more like a call-in radio show where we'll talk a little bit. I'll say thank you, and then we'll hang up, and I'll continue on with the next topic and so on. But anybody is welcome to do that at any point. Oops, there we go. All right, so we have another one for Warriors. This one I just looked at? No. Can always rely on melee attacks to save the day, or just save some situations that were going south again. The easy playstyle allows for, as I said with the Monk, the margin for error is a lot higher with Warrior, where if you make a mistake, you can probably recover from it if you get in close. All right, moving on. Next one is Ninja. This is our second Ninja. Great mobility, decent melee, feels like the perfect all-around class. Now, this is one of those classes that I did want to touch on, where in line with that other one where it said you do need to be able to aim with this one. Now, Ninja, it is easier to aim fire because you could double jump and shoot, but that is still a higher skill cap to perform that action than it is to, say, dash with a melee warrior or regen with a monk and so on. So you do have to be able to land it as well as perform the skill. So Ninja's skill cap is fairly high in comparison to the other two, but it is a very well-rounded class where it has a role of, it could be the carry. So it's going to move either in close and get the shots or hit the materia, or it's going to be able to blade shift up high and get the high ground and so on like that. It is a very strong solo class. Its place in teams is up and down. You could replace other classes with it and vice versa. So most viable, I'm not so sure, but it is a very well-rounded and strong class in my opinion. All right. Most viable class is Monk. So we have another one from Monk. Broken Redfist, 108 in crit. That's something we will touch on later on in the podcast. So we'll just move on to the next one here. That is a quick, easy answer. All right. Sorcerer. This is our first Sorcerer. Is the most viable. Sorcerer is the most viable, and I somewhat agree. Somewhat agree. Let's see. Why? Magic. So I'll give my opinion on why I think Sorcerer could be the most viable. And that's because it is obviously the strongest class for materia. And being able to cast a stronger Blizzard a stronger Fireball, and a stronger Thunder are very, very good. You could, if you hit all 3 Fireballs, you could one-shot somebody. You slow them down with the Blizzard. There's going to be hard for them to get away if you're in teams from your other teammates, especially if you have 2 melee classes with you. If you slow them down, you're in a good position. So Sorcerer in teams is very strong. In solos, it's vulnerable, but still very strong as well. Most viable, I think it's up there in the viability, but maybe not the most viable. All right, so we have another one from Monk here. All right. Great melee, clutch heals when no potions are available. Oh, sorry, clutch heals when no potions are available. Redfist go brrr. So we'll skip over that last part, but we touched on this a little bit already. Great in melee, heals for when you don't have potions, or the margin for error as we talked about. So another one from Monk there. Another one from Monk on this one. Best rounded, can tank, melee, create cover, very safe, and the Redfist is nearly guaranteed victory in one close skirmish. Again, very well-rounded class. Monk is looking very strong right now. And our final response is another Monk. So Genji can say, I need healing. I don't know who Genji is, but I'm glad that Genji needs healing. It must be, I'm gonna be yelled at, aren't I? Because that's a Final Fantasy character, isn't it? Oh, I just said I don't know somebody, and someone's gonna yell at me. I know it. All right, so let me give my opinion. We went through all the answers here. I will hit this button here so we can look at the stats on that. Most viable class. As you can see in my survey. All right, Yanvon, thank you. Whew. I know. No, see, now that you say that, I know who it is. All right. That must be one of his lines from in-game. So Monk is the most viable according to my survey. And I'm in agreement with the top 2 here. And I'm going to hop over to my other screen here because I want to talk about a little bit of the dev blog and how I come across with my opinions. And as I said, because I'm someone who is more analytical than I am like I'm going to play 1,000 games and know how to play this the best. I am hop in, play a few games, understand how the spells and skills work, but I'm more about watching you guys play and understanding, you know, what could do better, what could do worse, and finding the ins and outs in that way. So I got to look at stats a lot more. And I'm looking at this here, and some of these responses are really good because Monk and Warrior are the 2 that I'm personally saying are the 2 most well-rounded classes. So that does, you know, fall more in the viability terminology. And I said that on purpose. I said viability because I don't like to use the word best. I do like to use the word best sometimes, but if I want to get the conversation that I'm looking for, I'm not going to use absolute like that. So viable is a very vague term because there's different situations. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about those different situations. So if anybody has an opinion on why Monk isn't the most viable, or why Warrior isn't the most viable, or why Sorcerer is, and so on, that wasn't talked about already, feel free to say so in chat, or redeem the channel points so that we can hop in Discord together and we can talk about this. So let me hop into the devlog here. When I look at this, I automatically always take about 5% off of anything Warrior, and I'll tell you why. Warrior is the first class, so that automatically means that anybody who is just starting out on the game is going to get put into Warrior first unless they actively go and look for a different class. Most people are like, oh, I'm going to try this game. I'm just going to pick the first one, whatever. So there's people that like that. Then there's people that, you know, continue on the game, but they already started playing Warrior, so they're going to want to max out Warrior first. So that's like, for me, that's 5%. And then you have the rest of it there. So that brings us down to about 15%, 12%, and so on across the board here. And the reason that's important because now that brings us down closer because we see Ninja in solo is at 12% compared to a 15%. And then we have Monk, who's at a 9%, but jumped up to a 15. I mean, sorry, after adjustment was down here. We have Ninja sitting at 13. Monk at 11 now in solos. Sorcerer is going down. Warrior is going up. And I look at this and I see, I mean, Dragoon is going to be maxed out all season long. No matter what, Dragoon is probably going to be maxed out all season long. So it's hard to look at stats on Dragoon as far as like play percentage. So for Dragoon, I look at solely people playing it, what they're doing, and how they're making it strong, or how it's being taken advantage of, and so on like that. So for me, the most viable are going to be the classes that are going to win in the majority of situations. And as some people pointed out, Warrior has the probably lowest skill cap in the game. So that makes it very good in a lot of situations, but also has its weaknesses. We saw last meta with Gravity being very strong. Blizzard is still quite strong at slowing them down. And there's other counters that are being more prominent, such as, Dragoon and Monk's Redfist right now are very good against Warrior. Now, some people might say that Monk is most viable right now because of Redfist. Now, we talked about that a little bit, and I'm going to scroll down because I want to talk about this one right here. Yeah, this is the one that was talking about Monk. And the reason I feel that the Redfist is strong right now, we're going to talk about this a little bit more later on, so I shouldn't go too far into it. But like I said earlier, Redfist is strong right now because Monk is a very well-rounded class. Now, what I mean by that is it has survivability, it has health regen in that survivability, it has melee skills that are very complementary to the kit, as well as, I mean, you can play guns. Every class can play guns, so it is very well-rounded. So in survivor or viability, the most viable for me, I want to stick with Warrior because it is the lower skill cap, but Monk has a very strong, well-rounded skill, or well-rounded kit. There you go. There's the word I'm looking for. And then we can break it down even further. We can go into like solos and teams, where if you look up at the stats here, where you got Ninja is at 13% in solo, 15% in teams. So you're seeing the carry as the Ninja. We got the Monk is going up. It went up about 2%, but it passed Sorcerer in both categories before, in solo and in teams. So what we're seeing is we are seeing the trend of Monk, and we'll get into that, like I said, a little bit later. But as far as in teams, Ranger goes up in viability, we see here, and we see Sorcerer is very strong, but the Monk, Ninja, and Warrior are where the most people are playing. So if we're going to talk about viability, I feel like they are pretty good. Let's read Yenvon's answer here. On release, I felt Monk was the most newbie-friendly class. With the buff they've gotten to at this point, it's my number one all-arounder. Warrior's just better at closing the distance a lot. Exactly. And that's where for me, that's where Warrior is more viable, because you can close the gap a lot easier than you can with Monk. So the skill cap goes up when you get to Monk. And I think that's why, for me, I say, and again, viable is just a word, guys. And this is all opinion. Viable is a word that I'm using to just make it so we can have this conversation. So for me, right now, I'm saying the easiest skill cap is the most viable. And that's only because if it's easy, it's going to be really good for people to learn and to come up to these. Although it's a low skill cap, it's still a skillful class, and you're going to have to find the way to make it fit into these situations. And that's why I think Warrior is not only the lowest skill cap, but it is, very viable. Original Onja says, Warrior is the class I play least, as in least practice, and yet I probably get my highest win rate with it. Again, and I think that's the lowest skill cap. And it's hard to put this into like full perspective, because like I said, it's going to vary for different situations. You know, there's going to be situations where ninja gets into the high ground, so that, you know, ninja's more viable, or the warrior gets in close to a ninja, warrior is more viable, and so on like that. So you have to, you know, remember that most viable is a guide, is in the sense of you're going to take this information and know that, hey, I'm good in these situations, so I want to stick to these situations. And warrior has a very large amount of situations that they are stronger in. So for me, warrior is the most viable. Yeah, skill floor, skill cap, Yenvon, you're right. I'm using the opposite, but yes, you understand what I'm saying. Let's. There's another term I want to use for it, but I can't think of what it is. That's why I was saying skill cap. But yeah, I'll say skill floor for now on. The skill floor is very low. Thank you. All right, let's switch back over to here. The next question I asked, we could just look at the graph for this one. For comparison, what is your favorite job? So I'm going to scroll back up for a second so we can look at this again. As we see, most people said monk, followed by warrior, then ninja, sorcerer, and the final was dragoon. So now we're going to scroll down here and see what the difference is. And as you can see, ninja and warrior are tied in favorite, and monk, sorcerer are also tied in. Oh, monk, sorcerer, and ranger are tied in third, and then followed up last by dragoon. So, you know, why, in your guys' opinion, is the favorite job more spread out than the most viable, do you think? I have an opinion, but I didn't ask this in the questionnaire, so I want to ask you guys in chat what you guys think is. This is favorite, so this is 100% opinion. The last one had some, you know, weight to it, but let's say this one is strictly opinion. You know, this is your favorite for your reason. It doesn't even have to be a good reason. It's whatever your reason is. Ninja is fun and powerful. The mobility is huge. I agree on that. Lightfoot, I very much like Lightfoot. When I first started playing, I did a lot of lightweight shoes. I made sure I got lightweight shoes all the time. Favorite can speak more to fun playstyle. Dante agrees for sure. That's why I love it. Lets me juke warriors a bit easier. That's a ninja. Dante does play a lot of ninja. So while we get some more opinions in here, Yenvon, I'll read yours in 1 second. Let me give you my opinion. And the question I gave was, why do you think that, you know, this one is most viable? I mean, that's an opinion again, but monk is the highest voted here, and warrior is second. Now we look at favorite, and it's very spread out. And my opinion is that this game and the developers have done a very good job of balancing in their mindset. And they posted what their mindset was, or their design philosophy, and that was to make the most amount of play styles viable at any given time. So the most amount available, so that everybody can play a style and it feels like you're strong enough on it. Are there some that are stronger or more viable, as we were saying? Yes. But the developers are doing their best to keep things in line by using the stats that we are looking at right here. They are showing us the stats they're using all the time and showing us that, yeah, now that monk is on an upwards trend, they're going to take a look at it and they're going to decide whether or not they need to make an adjustment to make it fall back in line with some of these other numbers. And I really like this design philosophy. It has worked very well. I do say that the Chocobo got hit really hard, too hard at once, and now it's in a really weird place, but it's still, you know, it's still being worked on. And they've admitted that they have to make adjustments in a better way. And they've tried that, and they've done it with the bomb launcher. Although bomb launcher is not being used anymore, they did do it little by little. and they did the same thing with Dragoon. And they're trying to make it so the most amount of things are viable at the most amount of time. And I really enjoy this. It's why I'm sticking with this game. It's why I think tournaments are going to be amazing when we get that far. And I'm super excited. And I'm really happy that this is very spread out. Like, people are saying that their favorite job is, all over the board. And that's super good to see in a game like this. All right, let's read some of these comments here. Yenvon says, different playstyles lend to liking different classes. Ninja is the king of gunslingers. Warrior king of melee. Sorcerer and ninja compete for spell slingers. And of course, monks fits in any style. Yenvon, that was very well worded. I'm probably going to screenshot that or record that I read that out loud, because that is a very good breakdown of this game, and I love it. I think the highest skilled players run ninja. See example Scion, Vidoke, Cosma, WCG, etc. Dante agrees. With practice, honestly, every style is good. The only style I feel is a bit weaker, at least on solos, is Ranger. But I'm sure some Ranger mains might argue. Original Onja, exactly. These are all very good comments. Thank you, guys. Before we hop into the next question, I want to read some of these topics here, or some of these responses here, because you got some good stuff going on. I did read a little bit while I was running around, so let's see. Almond Walrus made it a point that all those high-end players that we were talking about playing Ninja also play Touch. So that's a good topic that we can talk about in another episode. If Control Drone had a Cactar speed, it would not only be viable, but OP. I agree. Cactar speed would be hilarious. Touch is best for guns and magic. It makes Choco Kick in melee harder. 100% agree with Ninja leading the way. It makes sense. Control would be good if it didn't lock Ranger. Like, if a Ranger could deploy it, leave it for vision, and come back, player control. Yeah, that is a very good idea, Onja. Latera, I am here. I needed some water. They don't use auto fire, but Cosma might. I don't know. If Cosma's here, Cosma, let me know. Cosma is my leader right now on Friday nights. Cosma does not use auto fire. He probably uses the hover one, whatever the hover one's called. I need to take one more sip of water, guys. We're ready to go. All right, so if at any point anybody wants to hop in to Discord with me to talk about these topics, like any good radio show, feel free to redeem the channel points. You can hop in and give me your opinion rather than typing it. But I'm also having fun with everybody typing as well, so don't feel like you have to hop into Discord. That is just an added bonus. I do not mind reading the responses that are popping up. So let's hop into our next question. That is, turn this one off. There we go. What is the least viable class? So now this is where we're going to get into the fun stuff. This first person says least viable is Ninja. Why? Even when invisible, people can kind of tell where you are. So clearly this person has not seen these high-end players that you are talking about, because they are making Ninja get very well around these things. All right. Sorry, there's going to be a little bit of scrolling when I go in between these ones. Least viable, Monk. So now we have the opposite. People were saying Monk was the most viable. Here we have someone saying Monk is the least viable. Why? Damage, least viable. Damage, HP regeneration, range, and his passive. I think that was the opposite. I think that was supposed to be a most viable. So we'll skip over that one. That's going to skew the stats a little bit, but that's fine. Least viable, Ranger. Can be very useful in team situation, but Ranger abilities are a little underwhelming. They need to let Rangers carry a third gun or have a chokeable whistle or something. This one is very fun. And it is very good idea. And I just said it in chat while I was on break, is I think Rangers should definitely get a third gun slot. Whether it's like a skill where they press the skill and they get an automatic like sniper for like a minute or something, and it's maybe not as powerful as Cyclops were, but it's a strong sniper that has a better distance, something fun about it. But that's their skill is they get a free gun slot or something. Um, or if they, whatever gun they put in that slot has extra damage or something like that. That way they can choose what gun does the most damage or what gun is going to be their ranger gun. I think that would be really cool. Yeah, we talked the other day about that. We did in chat. Sorcerer would be better if they had a fourth materia slot. That would be really fun as well. So, and this person right here also. No, that wouldn't be helpful in the final round. You're right. I mean, but it would if they chose their SMG as their third gun, and now they're a real close range, or like a shotgun. They get a special buff to the shotgun or something. Yeah, exactly, Zytera. Neither are there any of the other skills. I think that up close, if like the third slot gave a cool buff to the gun, something strong or something, interesting, but they have to choose, when they're getting down to the final circles, they have to choose to put the shotgun over there, or someone, and there has to be like some kind of skill lock, like they have to drop the gun that they used before, like they can't pick it back up or something, something cool like that. But I wanted to move on past that real quick because I did get caught up on that. It can be very useful in team situations. This is what we talked about in the last topic, where viable is just a word, and the situations always change. So you have to choose what situation is, and when I say viable, what are the most situations is good. Now, in teams, range is really good because in a lot of situations, when you scan and find people and give that information to your teammates, that is very good. In solos, it's okay. I know where that guy is, but he's been a dash on me and cut me in pieces, so. Exactly, Warriors. So something like that. If they gave me, like, the third gun has a faster reload speed or something like that. Shotgun has a faster reload speed if it's a shotgun. If it's a sniper, it has stronger damage the further you are away. If it's an SMG, I don't know. Hipfire is stronger or something. All right, least viable here. Another ranger. On teams, it can be helpful. On solo, it's kind of garbage. No build ability like Ninja or Dragoon. No good melee like Monk and Warrior. And no limitless spell casting like Sorcerer. Exactly. All those classes have a strong thing. Rangers have a scan in teams. What else? Yedvon says, I like assess. The HP bar was a nice addition. It was. And Ranger's getting better. Ranger's definitely getting better. I'm sorry if I yell. Ranger's definitely getting better. But it's still, like, it doesn't stand out compared to the other classes. So it needs something. Alright, so now we're on to the next one. Number 5. Least viable is what we're talking about now. Another Ranger. I think Ranger and Ninja are probably tied for the least viable. Here we go, guys. Ranger less viable in solos, Ninja less viable in teams. And we talked about this a little bit, where Ninja definitely has its place as the carry, but, can it be replaced by other classes? I think so. So, I don't disagree that it's less viable in teams, but I don't think it's the least viable class by far. Ranger Kit is amazing in teams, but not great in solos. Ninja Kit is amazing in solos, but less helpful to teams, as it relies a lot on dodging. But of course, if you're good at killing stuff, then you're still helping the team. Exactly. And that's what I was just trying to get on, is the Ninja is a carry if you hit that skill floor. If you can hit the skill floor of Ninja. I got it right, Yenvon. Then you're helping your team. That said, I think they're both decent styles and can be used well in the right hands. Exactly. It can, and like you said, it is good for scouting. In Warrior, who I'm responding here, Lightfoot is good for scouting. It is good for communication. But that's assuming you're in communication too. So there again, it's situational and it's opinion. So I do agree that it definitely has a stronger place in a ninja is definitely more viable than ranger for me. Anyways, least viable. Ranger again. In solo, both his abilities have such limited uses. The other styles have way more versatility, active abilities that balance offense defense. Ranger is pure support, which is not needed in solos. Plus, its passive is so comparatively bad to other classes, i.e., holding slightly extra ammo versus precise casting. That's a good point. Precise casting versus extra ammo. What would you guys pick? All right, if they're all ranger, I'm gonna skip past them. We got ranger. It makes combo. Oh, sorry, I read a little more than that. Its combo make the ranger not reach very far. Some versus the ninja and small damage he does in melee. What else we got? We got least viable ranger, underwhelming class. Least viable ranger. Other team can see the detection. This one I want to talk about actually. Other team can see the detection of and the drone. Now, I think that this is a very like if you guys watch my tournaments when I'm like following along with somebody, I tend to like automatically yell like, "Oh, we see a ranger scan go off in the distance." Like I'm immediately picking that up as someone watching, just think about the person playing the game. They're in there, they're active, they're like so ranger scans just immediately give away where there's another team, there's another person, and it's a very like up and down. Fair enough, Onja. It's not a passive. But it was more like the just a comparison for comparison's sake. Just like putting skills up against each other. All of the ranger skills compared up against sorcerer skills. I mean, I'd rather if I get a kill with the materia, I heal. That's still better. There you go. Acute sense. Let's see. Least viable is ranger again. Oh, that's the one I just read. Number 10. Least viable ranger. Bonus bullets means nothing in the end game. There we go. Least viable ranger. So I mean it's pretty abundant, and I think you guys are gonna know that I am pretty much in line here. We got ranger again. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody that said something different. Least viable ninja. Here we go with another ninja. Because it can only double jump and teleport around. So this is that skill floor. And I would say, and I hope the person watching this doesn't take offense if they are the person that said this, that this person hasn't quite hit that skill floor where, being able to double jump and teleport around is going to be able to put you in better positions and enable you to rotate far better than most other classes. So this one doesn't really make sense to me. But either way, I think these are the things that make ninja strong, not least viable. But either way, that's someone's opinion, and that it's important to these discussions. So here we go, least viable, and as we can see, the least viable job is, by a long, strong opinion, ranger. And it is very reflective. Again, I'll break this down a little bit like I did with the last one. We'll hop over here again. Where the after adjustment, ranger, let's look at them. Ranger was at 8%, 8%, 14%, 14%, 8%, 8%, and so on. Look, they are the same number. The only people playing ranger are the people who main ranger. And I think that that's an issue. Where a class, we talked about this, where they are attempting to balance to make the most viable things. Now, don't get me wrong, ranger is viable in teams. It has its place. But it is very lackluster still. And I think that ranger continues to need adjustment. It needs something to make it just take that leap and make it a little bit stronger. Let's read what Yenvon said here. He said, imagine if Scan told you there was specifically a warrior with gravity nearby, so you can, sorry. So you can distance or you can keep the sorcerer and raise. That's a good point. It shows you like their spell. I'm going for a little while longer. We still got more questions. Do you want to hop in and talk about this one, Warrior, or do you want to talk about something else? You want to talk about the next topic? Either way, hop into my my Discord here. I'm gonna mute it for now. But I'll be back. I'll be in there when I'm ready. I can hear you too as soon as you hop in. Let me hop back over here. So. I'll give him a minute to get in there. Let me look at what my next question was. Oh yeah, why? Okay, the meta question's next. Let's talk a little bit more. What we think Ranger could get to make them better. We could hop over here. Let's scroll down because they are making. They just made some adjustments. Right here. Ranger control strengthened and feature added. Firepower improved. Scouting area increased. Self-destruct area made viewable. What's the feature added? Has anybody done this yet? Is there a new added feature? Or am I missing something? More info would be my favorite direction Rangers could go. They kind of cornered themselves. Where could they go with it? Like I said, I think a third gun slot that does something special would be really cool. All right, so now I have Warrior here. Alamir, how you doing tonight?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah, I muted myself after I said something. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Are you able to hear me well? Is there a lot of background noise?
No, you're good. You're perfect.
Okay. I missed the last bit of what you said.
Don't worry about it. What were you do you have something you want to say specifically about on calling in?
No, I just thought maybe you wanted somebody to come in and join you and talk. I don't know if you were moving on from the viability thing.
Oh, okay.
I was just heckling people about the ninjas being weak on viability.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw my comment.
I did. So let me ask you the question I just asked then. The question I said is, in your opinion, what could they give Ranger to make them viable?
I think that they could give everybody to make them all a little more viable, because I'm thinking once it gets down to the final circle, every job is useful on teams to some degree, even Ranger. But I think something they could get rid of that would help everybody is there's a stun and a reset on your combo, your melee combo. When you do the, like your combo can get interrupted. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Wait, you talking about Ranger or are you talking about
everybody?
Oh,
everybody's combo can be interrupted.
Gotcha.
Yes. Did you know that?
Yes, we talked about this the other night, and I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Yeah, I think if they got rid of that mechanic, I'm not sure why it's a thing, but I think it would actually make Warrior not that much of a threat. And even or if what's difficult about the Warrior, and why I still say the Ranger is weak once you get into the final circle, because even if they had a third gun, unless it was like a shotgun with like we said, a faster reload time, or a third slot, and then it's just up to that individual player to be smart enough to carry a shotgun, so that once they get into the final round, if they get a Warrior rushing them, they can pump them in the face. But if they would get rid of the stun for the combo, if they could time their melee attacks correctly, then maybe Warrior wouldn't be much of a threat. Is what I would say. I don't know.
I
It's
have
hard with.
I have a slight theory as to why that break combo is a thing, and I'm gonna link it into the bonus question for today, and you're welcome to stay on with me for it. And the bonus question I have is, now that we talked about most viable and least viable, is what class do people want to see added to the game next? And the reason I bring up what you were just talking about is because my favorite class, and I know people have heard this before. I haven't played very many Final Fantasy themes, but I did play A Realm Reborn, Final Fantasy 14, like the day or the week that the reversion or the reborn version was released, and I fell in love with Marauder, and that is a subclass of warrior, I know, but a two-handed axe, and they have skills that make it so when they're getting hit, they're not taking damage. Now, I would like to see a skill, like you just said, where their combo is, in that situation, the combo is being broken. Maybe they have a skill that makes it so their combo isn't broken, or they take a certain amount of damage, and afterwards or something like that. But Marauder for me is what I would like to bring in. I really like the idea of a two-handed axe, like tank character that gets in people's faces. Maybe like a whirlwind attack or some cool stuff where they take damage and can you know go through damage in order to get to the enemy. I know Warrior's kind of like that, but Marauder would be a subclass of it. I think it would be slower than the Warrior is. Uh, Warrior, Alamir, what would you like to see for the next class to be brought in?
Well, for the next class, that's difficult. If this is just a Final Fantasy game, the sky's the limit.
I mean, yeah, exactly. But you can go off on any tangent you like with this. It's an open-ended question. So if it's a class from somewhere else,
I've actually thought about this a lot because I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I've played them all, and there's a lot of different jobs. But when it comes to FF7 canon, and if that's what they're trying to stick with, which so far, other than Ranger, they've kind of done that. Although you could say that's like Vincent Valentine, I guess. Let's see, Dragoon, Monk. Yeah. So for the most part, they've stuck with FF7 canon classes and then the Dragoon. So if they did that, I honestly have no clue where they would go next, other than maybe Beastmaster for Reeves because of Kate Sith.
Ooh, that would be
or Cat She. I know some people say pronounce it the right way.
So I do want to throw in real quick because I want to touch back to where we were talking about before because I am getting some other comments. Yenvon says getting rid of melee stun would make melee unviable. You would be able to just take a step back and shotgun people. That's a good point. I feel like stagger happens.
No.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
That's not what I'm talking about. That's something different. The melee stun I'm talking about is if I, as a ninja, initiate my first attack on anybody, and then I've been recording footage actually, and then they attack me, it resets my combo. So I have to start over again to get the 3-hit combo in with the knockback.
Gotcha.
Anytime somebody interrupts my combo, I have to start all over again. And that's what makes it difficult with warriors, is because when they rush in from a distance, that does not count as part of their combo. So if they rush in and then I hit them, it doesn't break up their combo because technically their combo hasn't started yet. Then they start their combo and it breaks mine. That's what makes it so difficult to fight warriors, and it makes it seem like they're resistant to the same melee reset that every other class is stuck with.
All right, so yeah, we're definitely gonna have to talk about this more, and once you do have some footage, let's come back to it, and me and you can break it down because I'd love to figure out what's going on and maybe bring better attention to this thing you found. But I do want to move back onto the class question because we got Yenvon says I want a mounted class, like a Chocobo Knight engineer type of dude that buffs or augments or summoned mounts. That'd be really cool. A Gambler class based on Kate Sith. That'd be really cool.
That's another one I thought that could possibly appear in FF7 is a gambler class. We've seen that in like Final Fantasy X too. Setzer was kind of technically that same class as well in 6.
Okay. And then we have something similar to Marauder could be done with Red what is it? Red 7? Yeah. Red 7 style class.
Red 13.
13. Oh, they said 12. Yeah, I said X.
Oops.
Dang it. I'm an idiot. X is 10, not 5. I said 5. They said 12 too, so X13. There we go. Yeah. See, you typed it wrong and I said it wrong. So we're all I was looking out for you. I didn't want to make you look bad. I want to make me look worse. Beast where you can actually play as a beast, high mobility materia, but can't use guns. That would be really cool. Yeah, next time type it out like that for me. And then Yenvon was responding to the other question, so we're gonna skip over that one for now. All right. So Warrior, I'm gonna hop on back by myself for now so I can move on to the next question. Thank you for joining me. I really enjoy your opinions whenever you hop in here with me.
Sure.
All right, so we're gonna hop into our final question here. Thank you guys for answering the bonus question there. I was gonna include that in the questionnaire, but I wanted to give something special for the people tuning in. So I'm gonna try to do that every week. We'll have a bonus question that we're gonna discuss just here in person. I do like these ideas. As I said, the Marauder is the one I like. I read some of the skills the other day just to like refresh what I had in mind, and there's one where it's like Overpowered, where you can attack through damage. So that's something that would be really cool. And I think things like that would be really cool for this game. I did see someone said that subclasses would be really cool, like a subclass for a Sorcerer, because you got Red Mage, White Mage, Black Mage. You got Warrior, breaks down to Marauder. You got Paladin, a bunch of other ones in that direction. And then I'm sure the other classes have more breakdowns, but those are the only two that I really played in any other game, so it's hard for me to break down any more than that. All right, so now we are going to hit the hot topic of the week, the meta question, and I'm just going to put it on the screen, let the chat go crazy for a second, and then we will break it down. So here we go. Oh, never mind. That's not it. My screen, I need to replug in my thing because it did an update. My phone shut off, so when it turned back on, it didn't reconnect to the streaming app. Now it's gonna take its sweet ass time and ruin my beautiful segue there. Oh, come on. That's what I get for using new programs. There we go. All right. Current meta question coming in hot. Is Monk Redfist overpowered? What do we think, guys? Is it overpowered? As we see in... Oh, I said OP. So, I mean, we could translate this. Is it overpowered? Is it overplayed? What is it? It's just a poor mechanic. All right. Single-use God mode isn't fun. Okay. I've clapped plenty of red... See, Alamir has completely flip-flopped. Last week, he was like, get rid of monks, get rid of monks. This week, he's like, I'm going to clap all of them. I say no, it's once per game, and once the game gets more players, that will be more apparent. Exactly. I like that answer. It could use a major scaling back on damage, but it's so cool. Drop blind and run. See, there is strategies, and that's why I want to break this down. I like to say overplayed rather than overpowered because of the design philosophy that the developers are giving us, and that's that they want to make the most viable play styles viable the most often. Now, we see here, monks got some adjustments, and now they're in a place where, they're being played more. We saw it in the stats over here. We'll bring them back up again. The stats show that before adjustments in the last balance, the monk. I don't think the changes were in the last balance. I think they were the one before that. But either way, the monk has gone up in both solos and um, got up both solo and parties. So there's definitely something that is making them more played. Are they overplayed or overpowered? Uh, it's hit and miss. And we talked about it earlier in the podcast. And if you didn't join in, the reason that I think that it is being played more is because Monk is already a fairly well rounded class with the adjustments and the strength they have been giving it so far. Now, what I mean by that is they have good healing, they have good sustainability from that healing, they have a strong melee already. They added in a slight gap closer prior to the kick that was a good quality of life adjustment. And then you can also use guns if you need to. So this is already a strong class. You take that and you add in this one off, I'm going to beat every single class if I land my attack. Um, so it does take this already strong thing, and I think in combination is what is making this overplayed or overpowered. It's all of those things put together with this one-time massive kick that can knock anybody. I mean, I've taken out chocobos and then the person right after, so it is very strong. But I think that the thing that is making it overplayed or overpowered is that yes, there is counterplay, and I've talked about that a lot in my other podcasts, my other videos, where counterplay needs to happen, and otherwise the game isn't fun. And as Morbid Fate said above, once per game God mode is not fun. Just like once per game getting sniped for headshot, full damage, I'm dead is not fun. Just like getting gravitied and getting stuck in one place is not fun. Do they have counters? Yes. The counter to gravity was play at a distance. The counter to whatever the one I said before that, snipers, was to always be moving. But the first time you stop moving, you're dead. First time you got caught in the gravity, you're dead. And so on like that. This is very common with these style games. It's very common with what the devs are trying to do. And from that, we are seeing this overpowered state. And what I think needs to happen with this one is the counterplay is there, and it's that you need to know that it's a monk. You need to know whether or not Redfist has already been active, and if yes, free for all, go for them. If not, keep your distance until you get rid of the Redfist, and then finish them off. Now, the further into the game you get, the harder that is, and the further into the game, it's harder to keep your one-time 20% or lower critical strike, whatever. And as Morbid Fate said above, the more popular the game becomes, especially when we get to tournaments, it's going to be a lot harder to keep that red fist until those last circles. So do I think that it's overpowered? No. Do I think it's overplayed? Yes, right now. Do I think it needs an adjustment? Yes. I think that the damage on the kick is slightly too high in comparison to some other stuff that's going on. So I think that there is some adjustments that could be happened, and I know the devs are going to look at it. I guarantee you in the next patch notes or devlog, we will have some kind of mention of the monk state, and they will give us a one adjustment and see how it goes into the next patch. That being said, let me read some of the comments here because there was a lot of conversation when I went on my little bit of a rant there. We were talking about the damage needs to go down. Often it never pops. I just get half my health taken in one hit, skipping Redfist entirely. Exactly. If you're already low on health, you're already going to go right through it. Sometimes 40 won't show it. I've had it where in solo I was down to 20 health and it popped, probably a random bug. It can do 200 damage. Spin kick does 120 without a crit, I believe. No, crit kit is 120 and almost an instant stagger. Gravity is still fairly strong, and it is a counter to monk. So I mean, it's if you have a monk closing in on you, you can use gravity as a way to fight against Redfist. Now, are they going to get out of it? Yeah, but at least it gives you time to at least try to have some kind of counter. Suicide Gravity in a team match. That way the other two can finish them off. That is a good strategy. Blade Runner Jack says his friend still runs Gravity. You can clap warriors. That's good. And let's... Oh, I still have a ton to catch up on. Let's see. All right, I'm caught up now. Totally agree. The Dragon Kick does a little too much damage for so much mobility in a single attack. I get used to ninja skills all game. They only get to use it once. Let's see what else. Riddle Onya says, right, the intention was clearly to give them a Glap Closer because it was a bit too hard to Redfist before, but the Glap Closer doesn't need to do 64 damage. Exactly. And I think that's what the problem is. I think that is a very good skill. It was a very good quality of life change, but unfortunately, it was tuned just a little too much. I don't think it's overpowered. I just think that it needs a tune. Spin Kick can go straight through gravity. Yeah, but you have to time that. You have to time it in order to get that Zytera, and that's a skill floor like we were talking about before. The skill floor is lower. I mean, is higher on Monk than it is, say, Warrior. Blizzard is nice since it can catch on the melee auto lock. Yep. Blizzard is sleeper material for melee fights. So good clutch to block with it. Exactly. That's really good. If you put down a Blizzard right in front of you, they can't melee through it. Maybe get rid of the faster movement. That might be a good move too, Blade Runner Jack. But I think lowering the damage is the go-to here. My suspicions about the devs overtuning ability is to get much higher play value of the players to test it where it should be. So, yeah. My suspicion about devs overtuning abilities is to get higher play value so they can test it and see where it's at. That's a good theory. I don't like to think that way about devs. I know that some people do that, but I think that, yeah, maybe there is somebody like thinking that way, but I think most devs are here and they're enjoying the game with us, whether or not they're playing it as much as us. They might take my role and look at the data more and play it just to understand it. But I think that they are definitely balancing this game in a very good way. I have enjoyed all of the balance changes so far. Faster movement is funny since you can drop kick, take a step, drop kick, and travel faster than you run. That is very funny. How can it even do 64 damage? Doesn't the kick only get active in Redfist and thus it would only crit? Or I have used it to get out of Mako fast. That's true. Yeah, the base, you never even get the base kick. It does 64, but you never get the base kick. You only get the crit. All right, so that is all the topics I have for tonight. I believe the next topic we are going to cover in the next podcast is going to be materia. So tonight we did jobs. We're going to hop into materia next week. We'll talk viable materia. Yenvon has some cool talk about Blizzard in this one. So I'm hoping that some of this will translate over into next week. I will post up a new questionnaire probably tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, and go from there. And with that, guys, I am very happy that you all tuned in tonight. I had a lot of fun doing this, and this is going to get bigger and better as we go on. The topics are going to get bigger. The conversation is going to get better, and we are going to really dive into the meta of Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I will catch you on Friday night for Fight Nights, week number 2. If you didn't tune in last week, check it out this week. We have a leaderboard going. If you want to be a part of it, everybody is welcome. Friday night, Fight Night, Koality plays live. I'll see you there. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and have a good night.